We are live. Good afternoon to one and all. I, Priyanka Sachdeva, teaching assistant of MOOC course Society and Media, welcomes you all to the special lecture series of Society and Media under the aegis of Ministry of Education, Government of India. Today among us we have Dr. Ankuran Datta, who is an associate professor and heads the Department of Communication and Journalism, Guwahati University, Assam. Dr. Datta is a media educator by profession with an experience of over 15 years and involved in different academic activities in India, Bangladesh, Canada, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and Malaysia. He has been awarded with prestigious National Award for Outstanding Efforts in Science and Technology Communication in the Electronic Medium in 2018 by NCSTC DST Ministry of Science and Technology Government of India. Dr. Datta was nominated to participate in SUSI in Journalism and Media at E.W. Scripps School of Journalism at the University of Ohio, the USA, from June to August 2018, and pursued short-term research at York University, Canada in 2011 as a Shastri Indo-Canadian Institute Fellow. We feel privileged to have you, sir. May I request, sir, to kindly share your valuable thoughts and experiences with the learners.
Yeah, thank you so much and very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Priyanka, Namit, and the other team members of the Media and Society MOOC. And I would, my sincere gratitude to Dr. Durgesh Tripathi of Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University of Delhi. It is his innovative idea that he has started this MOOC, and I am really privileged to be here as to deliver a special lecture on media, society, and social change. So at the very outset, my sincere apologies that the presentation I developed that is of around 250 MB, it is in the keynote and it cannot be uploaded, and I don't think that it can be played from here, but I would like to show you one video, and that is related to media, Indian media. I presented it at Ohio University 2 years back. So it is, some data are a little bit old data, but I am going to describe at the same time to give you a brief introduction about the Indian media. So my entire presentation in the next 30 to 40 minutes. So I will concentrate on the present status of the media scape in the country. And after that, the communication for social and behavioral change, that is social change communication, and how social change communication is possible. And after that, I will discuss 2-3 case studies that how communication can change the scenario of or development scenario in different region or nook and corner of the country. So let me play the video and then I'll just go through it. So in this video, the first part is basically on India. I wanted to introduce India in front of the global audience, but I'm going to skip the Indian part, and then I'm going to directly to the media part. Okay, so let me start from here only. We know about the profile of the country, the population that we are going to even beat China in 2028 with the population of 1.45 billion in next 10 years. Then it is the largest democracy of the world, and we have also different religion. When we discuss about the society, then it is a very important component of Indian society is the religion. So India is the place of origin of Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, and India is a secular country with about 1 billion Hindu and about 200 million Muslim population. India has more than 3 lakh active mosques in the country. Then education also nowadays, the new education policy is means in the trending. Everyone is discussing about the new education policy, and we have around 800 universities in the country, 37,000 colleges, and around 12,000 standalone institutions in the higher education scenario of the country. So from the language wise also, we have a lots of language in the country, although we have 22 official languages, but according to the census of India, a total number of 1,652 mother tongues we have. And defense is India is the world's largest importer of arms, but it has never invaded or attacked any country in the history. So this is another very important information we should know about the Indian society. Let me go directly to media part. So Indian media is, as you know, that it was started by James Augustus Hickey in 1780, and during that time, during the independence, Indian media was known as it's for mission mode, and it was a mission. It became a profession later, and then it became fashion, and now creation that we can also create lots of news stories nowadays in different media. So if we discuss about Indian media, we can discuss that it into 4 types, 4 categories. The first category is the traditional folk media, which has still importance in the developing sector, and more particularly to for the social change, behavioral and social change, and also for communication for development. Traditional folk media are still used. So print media is another very big component, and we have lots of newspapers in the country, and we are going to discuss in detail about the print media later. So broadcasting has also specially importance in the Indian media scape. And finally, the social media or new media practices in the country. And we have lots of, means around 400 million social media active users nowadays. So Indian media and entertainment sector reached around 23 billion US dollar in the year 2017. Let us discuss a little bit information about print media. So Indian newspapers and periodicals. We have, as per the register of the newspapers of India, the total number of registered titles are around 1,15,000 titles, and out of 1,15,000 titles, we have 17,000 in the newspaper category, and around 98,000 are in the periodical category. So total claim calculation during 26-27 is 489 million, means 49 crore circulation in the year 2016-17. Of course, due to this pandemic, due to COVID-19, it has come down, and it is the mostly affected industry due to the COVID-19 is the print industry. So Hindi publication is at the top of it, around 240 million. Then English publication at around 57 million. And also we have a book publication of around 1 lakh book published each year in the country. And if you go through this top 20 highest circulated newspaper in the world, then you will find that 7 newspapers are only from India, including Dainik Bhaskar, the Times of India, Dainik Jagaran, Amar Ujala, Hindustan Dainik, etc. So if we go through the reading habit of the newspaper in the society, then we will find some very interesting facts, including that kids also read newspaper here in the country. The kids means in the age of around up to 12 years, 14 years of age. So around 44% of children of 12 to 17 years age range, so they read newspaper in the country. There is a huge means rapid expansion of the digital portals or the internet edition of the newspapers, and it is visible in the online newspaper, that is the white bars in comparison to the yellow bars as the magazine. So in the rural India, newspapers are mostly popular. It is around 52%, but magazines are not too much popular, and it is just the reverse in the urban area. Magazines are more popular in the urban area than the rural India. So broadcasting in India has a three tier of broadcasting. It starts with the private commercial broadcasting, then public service broadcasting, and also the community broadcasting. So public service broadcasting has two arms, that is the Doordarshan and All India Radio, and private commercial broadcasting has lots of private television channels and radio channels, and the community broadcasting has also the main component is the community radio in the country. Let me discuss first about public service broadcasting. So Prasar Bharati is India's public service broadcasting, and as I told that it has two arms, two wings. One is All India Radio and other is the Doordarshan, and that building was the building of All India Radio in New Delhi. And Prasar Bharati is an autonomous body established under Prasar Bharati Act, but it is not similar to the British Broadcasting Corporation in comparison to the autonomy of the organs. So All India Radio is one of the largest radio networks in the world, and again we have around we have three tier broadcasting in All India Radio, that is the national broadcasting, regional broadcasting, and local broadcasting. I'm going to discuss all the history of the radio, but I would like to mention that earlier during partition time we had only 6 radio stations in the country, 3 radio stations in Pakistan. At this moment we have around 470 radio stations, and also we are going to, after 3 years, we are going to celebrate 100 years of radio broadcasting in the country, since radio broadcasting started in the year 1923. Doordarshan is, as you know, Satyam Shivam Sundaram is a motto of Doordarshan, and Doordarshan started in the year 1959. Just day before yesterday, we completed 61 years of existence of television in the country with the initial Doordarshan in 1959, and regular broadcasting, daily transmission started in the year 1965. Then there was a landmark experiment that is known as SITE experiment. It is called satellite instructional television experiment. It was in the year 1975. There was another experiment also, Kheda project. India, and in 1997 Doordarshan got the autonomy, and with DD Direct Plus, that is digital video broadcasting service, in 2004 we had another advantage. We got to watch Doordarshan from any remote areas. Doordarshan is not a television channel. It is a network of television channels. So there are lots of television channels. So a few channels are All India channel or national channel. Then there are lots of regional channels, and also there are some other channels. And apart from in the public service television, apart from Doordarshan, we have Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha television. So Lok Sabha television and Rajya Sabha television are basically run by both the houses of the parliament, that is upper house and the lower house, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. So if we discuss about private television channels, it is basically they are commercial channels, and they are based on three E's, that is entertainment, entertainment, and entertainment. So we have at this moment around 877 private television channels. Just imagine, it is a huge number of private television channel with 800, nearly 900 private television channels, and out of them, around 400 television channels are based on news and current affairs, and other around 500 channels are based on non-news or entertainment channels. So we have around 577 free-to-air channels, and 300 channels are paid channels or subscription-based channels. Television industry. So it is a huge industry of around means 10 billion US dollar. So this industry is a big industry, and the revenue also comes mainly from subscription, but less in the advertising. This is the difference with the print media and television. In print media, the maximum subscription means revenue comes from advertising, but in television, maximum revenue comes from the subscription. So television viewing, we have the 100% digitization of the television in the country. No analog television is available nowadays, and 183 million. Is it 183 means 18 crore? Is it the total number of viewers? No, it is not the total number of viewers. It is the total number of households. And if you consider that 3 to 4% in each household, then we can count that around 1 crore, 100 or 80 to 90 crore population in the country watch television. Of course, there is a trend among the young generation not to watch television, but they are more busy in the social media. Community and educational broadcasting. As I told that this presentation is a little bit older, so at this moment we have around 250 community radio stations in the country, and we have lots of applications received, more than 2,000 applications received. Letter of intents were also issued to around 600 organizations, but at this moment we have around 250 community radio stations that are working really very good. Apart from this community radio stations, we have also Gyanvani is a educational educational channel, or we have Gyandarshan. Let me go to say a little bit about Indian cinema. So Indian cinema is what you can say, it is it represents the entire entertainment industry in front of the world, and we produce nearly 2,000 films in every year. Just imagine, it is not how many film you watch every day, in a year. I think maximum 10 to 20 film you watch in general, or maybe 50 films you watch in general, but we produce nearly 2,000 films, and it should not be believed that Bollywood covers the entire film industry, but Bollywood covers only the 43% of the entire film industry. So we have also a huge ICT penetration, as I told. Here again, I would like to request you to that some of the information may be a little older, that we have internet connectivity, not for 78 million internet users, but we have at this moment around 600 million internet users in the country. Okay, and out of 600 internet users in the country, we have around 400 million active social media users. 400 active social media user means it is of around 40 crore. Of course, in comparison to 1.35 billion population, 135 crore population, 40 crore is not much, but a same mobile phone, smartphone is also used by several members in a rural household. So from that perspective, around 60 to 70 crore of Indian population are very much active on the social media. So this is a very brief digital India scenario, ICT for development. After that, I would like to mention a few things which may be relevant for the students who enroll in this massive open online course on media and society. And so there is a huge difference we have noticed in very recently use of with a rapid expansion of the social media activism that is called mobocracy. In the name of democracy, we have now mobocracy or mobile democracy, and it is very much visible in the Aam Aadmi Party, in the Delhi NCR election, last election, and also last 2019 parliamentary election, where hashtag journalism was the trend. And we have noticed that lots of hashtags used by different political parties, like hashtag it is मैं भी चौकीदार चोर हैं, so Bharat Bole, Modi, different kinds of hashtag journalism were used during the last 2019 general election. So if we go through the Indian media, and I would like to say that it is in crossroads, and there is also ethical practices of journalism in the country. And all of you know about that we do not have a separate media freedom, unlike United States. So Indian media enjoys the same freedom as like an individual, as per the Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution, that guarantees the fundamental rights of speech and expression. Although we have the Article 19(b) that says reasonable restrictions on these fundamental rights. So there are also some issues related to Indian media. One political analyst mentioned that media based on his crime and is why Indian media has ethical. It is not the dilemma. It is dilemma. Me in puzzle. A tribe is the accountability is competition. As you know that use of media houses is a among people. This media so perhaps
Sir?
I was, I think, out of this. Could you listen to me here, means?
Your voice is breaking. Sir?
Yes. Audible?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So okay. So I told about this. I give you a brief description the media breaking.
Yes, voice is breaking again.
Can you hear if I off the video?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Your voice is audible.
Uh, Okay, fine. So in that case, means already we discussed a brief about Indian media. So Indian media has some very big issues, and these issues are related to manufacturing of news and views, then spin doctoring, journalism more as a business, promotion of mobocracy in the name of democracy, ignoring serious public issues, then suffering from celebrity syndrome, then promote of sectarian violence, issues of this fake news and paid news. Although I don't want to use the word fake news, because fake news, a news cannot be a fake, means a news can be false, but it cannot be a fake news, because for a news there is an editorial intervention, and also the gatekeeping process is very, very strong in the news. So that is why news cannot be false, news cannot be fake, but we can use the fake information, or instead of that we can use the information disorder. So information disorder has the three basic components like misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. So as I told that we have in the Indian media, we have the ethical trilemma, that the first out of this first trilemma is that accountability versus the hyper competition. The second one is media corruption and the crisis of journalism.
Sir?
Then
Sorry.
yes.
So here the presentation is not visible.
Yeah, I can understand. Actually, I am not going to present because
Okay.
my signal is not stable.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Okay, let me just on the video if it is okay, and let me check. So these are the three issues, major issues, that, and also the another important area is the sensationalism, commitment, and social responsibility. I think you have seen recently one television news anchor, how he reacts on the live screen. So it was, I think, visible, and I don't want to comment on that, but the news presentation or news anchoring became a melodrama in some time, and nowadays it is very, very presented in an entertainment way, not in a presentation way. So although we have we also we should think about the journalists, safety of journalism, and Gauri Lankesh and lots of other issues, lots of journalists were killed. And during 1992 to 1998, around 48 journalists killed only in India. And the maximum were in the year 1997, of around 10 journalists were killed in the year 1997. So India has a great contribution to the ICT, that is information communication and technology. And as you know that the entire digitization is based on 1 and 0, and that 0 is a contribution from India, that Aryabhat, who gave the concept of zero. Then Sir Jagadish Chandra Bose, who is associated with the invention of radio wave. Then APJ Abdul Kalam, of course, he has a great contribution. Then Ajay Bhatt, who invented the USB. So USB cable, nowadays everywhere we use the USB, and USB was invented by Ajay Bhatt. And also the HDTV, high definition television, was the technology was developed by Arun Netrawali. He is also an Indian origin. And then the most used news aggregator called Google News was developed by Krishna Bharat. Then fiber optics was also developed by Narendra Singh Kapani. And development of Intel processor was Binod Dham was associated with the development of Intel. So let me discuss a little bit about social and behavioral change communication. And as you know that in our society we have lots of means areas where we need to change the behavior of the people and behavior of the social behavior through the communication intervention. So for the communication for social and behavioral change, it is like a triangle. Okay, it is in this triangle. So the top is the unaware people. So you have to make them aware on a particular issue, and then you have to make them concerned on that particular issue, and then you have to make them knowledgeable on that issue, and then you have to motivate them to change, and finally practice the behavioral change, at last it should be a sustainable behavioral change methodology in the communication for behavioral change. So for this communication intervention, number one is that audience should be carefully segmented. Audience should be segmented carefully. Then messages should be pre-tested. Then materials are pre-evaluated. Then media should be strategically selected. So you cannot take all the media. So media should be very, very strategic, and the community mobilization are used, and blended approach are also adopted in this. This is a way that how we can change the communication for behavior change. So there are lots of processes actually in the behavioral change communication. In the step one, so you have to identify the program goal and then involve the stakeholder in the behavior change communication. So without stakeholders intervention, it cannot be possible for you to make a change in the society. Then also you have to identify the target. So target audience should be identified well. And after that, you have to conduct a research, that is a formative research. So formative research is very, very important part in the behavioral change communication. And then you have to segment the target population, because in behavioral change you cannot reach to all the target audience, but you have to segment the target audience in different ways. And finally, defining the communication for social and behavioral change objectives. So based on your formative research, you have to develop the behavioral change objectives. So this is in the first step, and after the first step you have to define the behavioral change strategy. So you have to design a strategy, and then with that strategy you have to also design the monitoring and evaluation strategy, because monitoring and evaluation strategy are simultaneously important with the communication strategy. And after that, you need to design a message matrix. So what is a message matrix? Message matrix is like a framework where you can, based on your formative research or based on your focus group discussion or in-depth interviews, so what are the bad behavior you have noticed, you have to note it down in the message matrix in the first column, and in the second column you have to note the consequences of the bad behavior, and in the third column you have to mention the good behavior, and finally in the fourth column you have to show the benefit of the good behavior. So in the behavioral change communication, the most important thing is that if you want to use media and communication for social change, then you have to highlight the benefit of the change. For that change means if a person or an individual is going to change himself in his behavior, but why? You have to clearly, you have to motivate them, you have to persuade them for the change with showing the benefit from that change. Okay, then development communication products. So you have to also design the development communication products, then pre-test and implement the social and behavior change strategy. Sorry. So in the third step, step 3, that you have to monitor then the entire process of your behavioral change strategy. Then you have to evaluate it and analyze the feedback. The feedback should be analyzed very carefully. And if you want to use the action research here, then you can use the action research also. And finally, it should be, the message should be revised based on the feedback. So based on the feedback, you have to revise the entire message of the or the communication strategy to reach the unreached people of the society. So this is basically what I wanted to discuss with you. And at the end of my presentation, I would also, I am just going to take a few questions if it is possible. And before that, I would also like to mention that during this COVID crisis, so we had a lots of changes in the Indian media, and these are that there is a paradigm shift also in the media education in the country. And I'm just going to discuss a very few points related to the Indian media. And I always wanted to quote that the quotation of Charles Dickens in his novel A Tale of Two Cities, and where he mentioned that this is the best of this was the best of time, and this was the worst of time. And all of we can realize this disappointment and the suffocation during this COVID-19 situation. So this year is very, very significant for the media education in India for basic 3 reasons. The firstly, the entire media industry is in a crisis due to the COVID-19 outbreak, and hence there is also a crisis on the media education too, since this profession is this profession is one way or the other, it is dependent on the industry. So that is why, due to the crisis in the media industry, so we have been also facing a great crisis in the media scenario, media education. Then secondly, this year is the centenary year of the media and journalism education in the country, as the first journalism course was started by Dr. Annie Besant in the year 1920. I hope that all the students, all the participants in this MOOC, they are well aware about Dr. Annie Besant, who was an outstanding orator of her time, a very good journalist and a social reformer. So thirdly, this year will be considered as a year of information pandemic. That is infodemic. It's a very nice term. I think we should use, instead of fake news, that infodemic, that information pandemic, or pandemic of misinformation, with a sea of misinformation flooded around one particular issue, COVID-19, on the social media platform that never happened before. Therefore, a serious change is also required in the media education to face the current and post-COVID era. So COVID-19 also creates both opportunities and challenges for the Indian media. In the other word, that COVID crisis creates crisis in media, but chance at redemption. So during this risk, we have observed the inclination of the shifting conventional media to the digital outlet. I think you have also noticed that lots of people stopped purchasing the newspaper or subscribing the newspaper because there was also a rumor or superstition flooded that newspaper can also carry COVID-19, but and the people were now shifted to the digital platforms, different digital platforms. Okay, so And because of the space issue is not there in the digital platform, and the crisis encouraged the media outlets to increase their humanitarian coverage and provide a scope of participatory reporting. It also broke the corporate funded outlets and offered an opportunity for the alternative media. I think you have noticed that lots of human interest stories were covered by different television channels and also newspaper, and mainly on the migrant issue. We have just noticed COVID also created an industrial crisis, more particularly to the print, although alternative media makes a space in the Indian media scape. But credibility became a serious concern. So since this is a lack of ethics due to the poor gatekeeping, and only 1 or 2% also run a news portal, and so that is why there is a problem of the gatekeeping, and thousands of news portals came into existence during this time. And I would like to mention here that only the north, only in a small state like Assam, we have around more than 200 news portals at this moment. Okay, but the sustainability is a very big issue because there is lots of difficulty in the monetization and dependence on the subscription-based model. So during this crisis, the role of Indian media was also observed as the manipulation of discourse. They have manipulated lots of discourse, and xenophobic role, homophilic syndrome, then news anxiety, overload of information, and views overshadowed the news. So these are some very important issues that we have noticed, and not only the fake news but also lots of superstitions flooded on different issues like number 9. I think you could remember that Honorable Prime Minister has requested all the citizens of the country to light 9 candles at 9 p.m. for 9 minutes, and on the 5th of April then again it is 5 + 4 9. So there were lots of 9, and it was basically his intention was very good. He wanted only that to give that feeling that during this lockdown also we are not in the isolation, right? So we can we are together with that feeling, but that number 9 became a superstition among the people. And also there was clap and clang, I think tali and thali. That was another incident that the Honorable Prime Minister, he's just requested the people to clap at the balcony for 5 minutes, and only to give the morale or to boost the to the morale of the frontline warriors, or mainly the health workers. But again, that also became a superstition in our society, because we have always be very careful that India has lots of superstition, and we are unable to come out of that particular situation. Okay, still we have witch chanting, we have lots of other superstitious beliefs in the society. Then I think also you could remember that there were also lots of cow urine parties organized in many cities. Okay, and it was believed that cow urine and cow dung can cure this COVID-19. And one person in a district in West Bengal, so he sold, he used to sell cow urine and cow dung at rupees 200 per liter and per kilogram, and later he was arrested. So there was also another belief that Gangajal can cure the coronavirus, but it was simply very politely rejected by the ICMR to for any clinical trial. So what we have to do during this time, we have to filter the belief facts or the distorted facts to get check facts through media literacy. So media literacy is very important, and we have to sanitize our mind during this time, everyone, we are very, very concerned about sanitizing our hands. We very frequently we sanitize our hands, but at the same time, I request all the participants in this MOOC to sanitize our minds. In the society, we have to develop a means media literacy among the people. So a study of on the fake information by MIT published in the Science showed that a fake story can reach 1,500 people 6 times faster than a true story. Means is 6 times faster than the truth. Always false or fake is more faster than the truth. Okay, then falsehood is 70% more likely to get shared than the truth, said an analysis of 130,000 around stories over 10 years tweeted by 3 million users. And it says that means truth is no match for fake. So a study also found that fake news elicited words associated with surprise and disgust, definitely more provoking than what real news elicited sadness and trust. So here for the social change that how media can do, I would like to mention here that I am an advocate of community media, and for last more than a decade, I have been advocating for community media instead as an alternative media of the mainstream media. See, there are lots of good stories and success stories that how a community media can change the behavior in the society. So I would like to mention here that a person called Manoj Deka, he was associated with the first community radio of Northeastern region, Gyan Taranga, who single-handedly ran 333 hours of broadcasting in 37 days during the initial lockdown period in that particular community radio station. So just see his dedication, a single-handedly one person who ran 333 hours of broadcasting in a community radio station. I would like to give another case study of Radio Brahmaputra. It is based in a district called Dhemaji. This radio basically serves the people in the river island areas and also the tea garden laborers, for the tea garden laborers. So in the and there are lots of tribal communities are also located inside of the coverage area. And see, there is a tribal community called Hazong. This Hazong community, they are scattered in different parts of northeastern region, like in Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and also in part of Bangladesh. So they were segregated for years and years. So actually a very small team of Hazong community means a 10+2 student, Kritamjit Hazong, and 2 other means enthusiasts in that particular community. They started broadcasting a half an hour program in Hazong language in that particular community radio. And after that, Kritamjit, what he did, he used to record the entire program from a radio, and then he create a video based on that radio program and upload in Facebook. And after that, all the Hazong community who are scattered in different parts of Northeast, in Bangladesh, in Cambodia, in other Southeast Asian countries, so now they are together in that particular platform. Just see this very small but very beautiful example of social change, how media, a small media, can also change the society. Okay, I don't want to give any example of the mainstream media, but a small media can also change the society. So I would like to thank again Professor Durgesh Tripathi and his team for giving me this opportunity, and all these participants in this MOOC, and I'll be very happy to answer any question if they have.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an comprehensive and interesting presentation on Indian media, covering all the important contemporary topics with relevant examples. Thank you so much, sir. So there are few questions asked by the learners.
Sure.
The current pandemic has given rise to various social issues, especially those involving the marginalized. Has the media reflected those issues with honesty?
See, I have just at the very beginning, while discussing about the Indian media's role during this COVID crisis, that I have mentioned that there is a huge manipulation of the discourse. Okay, so there are and a xenophobic role or xenophobic role. I think you have just easily understood about that Markat issue or lots of other issues which were reflected by the media. See, the media is broadly divided into two categories at this moment, with the establishment and anti-establishment. So some of the news channels and some of the media are very honestly, they have been covering the issues of the marginalized communities, and more importantly, many television channels covered very honestly the migrant labor issue with a humanitarian angle. So that was really appreciable during this time. But at the same time, as I mentioned, that there is a huge homophily syndrome in the Indian media, xenophobic role, and the manipulation of discourse during this COVID crisis.
Okay, thank you, sir. So next question is, how important is free press to a democratic society?
This is another very important question. We do not. I don't know exactly. How I answer that. Whether we have enough freedom in the country for the media, or we do not have in the country. But if we discuss from some different aspect, then we can say that for a democracy, as we always say that this is the fourth pillar. It is very popular so-called fourth pillar of democracy, apart from other three pillars. So I would like to share a story here. Uh, I always used to defend my country outside India, that we have enough freedom of media inside the country. But I have noticed that in many European countries and even in the United States, they have more freedom. They have a separate freedom for the media. So I visited one museum at Washington, D.C., and the name of the museum is called Newseum. It is news plus museum. It's Newseum. So Newseum is a very popular, and you can find lots of newspapers, very old newspapers, and it is entirely on the news or media. And there I found that from the freedom of speech index, so India is in the bottom. Okay, India is not in the top. India out of, I think I exactly forgot about that statistics, but it was like out of 150 countries, India was in 120s. Okay, just imagine that that index, what index says about the freedom of media or free press, or even the freedom of speech and expression of an individual.
Yes, sir. So the next is, how does government media affect political socialization?
Uh, government media, right? We do not have exactly government media, but apart from, like, employment news is a government newspaper, that is a different case. But otherwise,
maybe he wants to say that the
Yeah.
media is the information is almost controlled by the government somewhere. And the even the organizations, there is like cross media ownership is also there. So somewhere, the political socialization where it is standing there, like how it affects the political socialization.
Uh, yes, see, during this time, particularly during this pandemic, I think you have noticed that a few, means lots of journalists were arrested, and also for providing some information. I could still remember that one journalist from Varanasi, she was actually an FIR was filed against her because she reported that some of the marginalized community didn't get the relief during this time. There were lots of this kind of issues. So what I want to say that of course there is a restriction from the side, and very recently, actually, I think day before yesterday or 3 days back, Supreme Court of India also discuss about the media freedom and self-regulation. So some of the I do believe that there is a control from the government side, but still our position is not not similar to China or Korea, North Korea, or even many other countries. So we have that liberty, but at the same time, we also do not utilize this power in a proper sense. Many a time, there are some issues that we do not utilize this power in a positive angle. So I didn't think about the political socialization, how the media effect on the political socialization, but I do believe that there is a huge role of the digital media, more particularly on the on what I can say, that means of dissemination of some information very strategically to the common people with some political intention.
Taking up the last question, how can fake news affect the democracy of a nation and how it impacts social change?
See, there is a huge impact of fake news or infodemic. So during the time of for 1 month, in the month of April, from 1st of April to 30th of April, we did a campaign. We conducted a campaign or a movement against the fake news, and we gave the name called hashtag Check the Fake on COVID-19. And this is also published as in a book form called Break the Fake Tunes. So it was based on cartoons kind of thing. And see that we have always to remember the intention of the people for spreading fake news. This is very intentional. That is number one. And also we should also realize that fake news or fake information are not circulated only from the dark corner of the society. They are also circulated by renowned personality in the country, or the politician, or the public figures in the country. I repeat again, the fake news are not only circulated from the dark corner of the society. So it has a very bad impact, as I told earlier, that not only the fake news, but also the superstition during as a name of fake news or name of fake information, lots of superstition were also circulated during this time. Like if what you can say, that if a member of Legislative Assembly say publicly that cow urine can cure coronavirus, then what you can say? So this is the situation in the country, and there are basically three intentions of use of fake news. Number one is that some people, they monetize from this fake news, at least from the dark corner of the society, who comes from the dark corner of the society. They monetize with this fake news. That is number one. The second category of the people who basically wants more likes and emojis in their social media posts. Okay, and the third category of the people who get some sadistic pleasure out of this, means while sending some wrong information to the people, then they get something, some different kind of pleasure. That pleasure, it is not a very common pleasure for the natural human being. So these are the three basic reasons I have studied, and it has a huge impact. But I'm very happy that recently, in the recent times, the curve of this fake news has come down. That was in the peak in the last end of March and April. Then from mid-May and or June, it has little come down. So I'm very happy on that particular issue. But media literacy and digital literacy is the only way to curve this, or to flatten the curve of the infodemic. That is the only way.
So thank you so much. So because of shortage of time, we have more questions, but because of the time shortage, we need to end that. Thank you so much, sir. It was really interesting, and we really enjoyed. And I hope the learners also enjoyed the presentation. And thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, the entire team, Priyanka. And I would like to thank again Professor Durgesh Tripathi, who is a very good friend of mine. And we have been collaborating in many activities. So I would like to thank again to Professor Tripathi and also the entire team for giving me this opportunity to share some ideas about media, society, and social change during this time. And all the very best. And I hope that you will get more information. And it is a lecture series that some other speaker will also give you some very good information for all the participants of the massive open online course on media and society. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.